Hello everyone, welcome back. I hope everyone is doing well. So today we're going to be talking about energy, the different types or forms of energy, and how one is converted to a different type. We're also going to be talking about photosynthesis. Specifically, we're going to be talking about the organisms that can actually do photosynthesis and how are they able to obtain the energy that they need and how they're able to make their own food, if you will. So let's go ahead and get started. Okay, so the United States is the largest consumer of fossil fuels. So fossil fuels are a non-renewable form of energy. And the reason why it's a non-renewable form of energy is that it requires like millions of years to produce naturally. So in an effort for us to become less dependent on fossil fuels, there are scientists, there are engineers, bioengineers that are working on different types of what we call renewable energy. And some example of renewable energy includes wind power, and it also includes solar power as well. Now, according to statistics, the demand for oil will increase over the next 25 years. And the reason for that is because the population in our planet it's increasing. We all are basically using cars, using planes, or using any other form of transportation, right, in order to get to places. So those cars, those planes, those buses are powered by fossil fuels. However, fossil fuels are basically limited, so there's only a certain amount, and it takes millions of years to produce naturally. So that means that we need to find a different, more reliable form of energy. And that's where the renewable form of energy actually comes into the picture. Like I said, there are some scientists, there are engineers, bioengineers who are working on renewable forms of energy. Okay, as I mentioned before, now for every problem that we encounter, nature already has a solution. So in this case, for the problem of fossil fuels, there is a possible solution. So scientists are actually working on using algae, which is an organism that what it does is that it captures the energy from the sun and it produces oil. And we can extract that oil in order to use it as biodiesel. So if you see here, so this is basically algae, and inside the algae, you actually have those little jello compartments, and those yellow compartments are actually filled with oil. And we can actually extract that, and we can use it as biodiesel. Okay, so let's talk more about energy. So energy is defined as the capacity to do work. And when we're talking about the capacity to do work, we're talking about pretty much everything that we do on a daily basis. And this includes breathing. This includes basically just the fact of staying alive. Because in your body, your cells require energy to power all the essential functions in order to keep you alive. And so without any source of energy, all life on Earth will stop. And as we mentioned in the previous chapter, like if you obtain the energy that you need from the food that you consume, and if you're not obtaining that energy, if you're not obtaining those nutrients, then you could become malnourished and essentially you could die. So energy cannot be created nor destroyed. It can only be transformed from one type to a different types. And we as humans, we obtain the energy from the food that we consume. So the first type of energy is what we call chemical energy. And this energy is the energy that is found in the bonds that keeps molecules together. So whenever we break those bonds, we release energy. Okay, so let's come back to talking about algae. So algae are what we call autotrophs. An autotroph, it's an organism that can produce their own food. So in the case of algae, what they do is they obtain the energy from the sun. So kind of like the solar panels. You know how the solar panels they, you know, extract, if you will, or they capture the energy from the sun, and then we use it in our house to, like, say, for example, power a light bulb and so on and so forth. In the case of the algae, they actually extract the energy from the sun and they use it to produce their own food. In the case of the algae, they actually produce oils, and oil that we can actually use to power our cars or to power, other things. So what do we need in order to grow algae? So algae needs carbon dioxide, it needs sunlight, and it also requires nutrients, and it requires water as well. And what do we get from the algae? So the beautiful part about using the algae is that there is no waste. So we actually extract oil, which can be converted to biofuels. We can use carbohydrates, and we obtain proteins, and we also obtain cell wall biomass. Again, what do we need in order to grow algae? You require carbon dioxide, sunlight, nutrients, and water as well. And what do we get out of the algae? Again, there's no waste. We get oils, we get carbohydrates, we get proteins, and we also get cell wall biomass.